The queen ordered her warrior to humiliate him, but after losing marriage was her punishment the gleaming silver armor reflected the harsh purple glow of the alien palace as Ryan Caldwell stood his ground, jaw set in defiance. His light blonde hair was casually swept back, his stubble accentuating the hard lines of his face as he stared directly into the eyes of Queen Nyx. "I won't do it," he said, voice unwavering despite the tension filling the royal chamber. "I'm an ambassador from Earth, not your errand boy." The purple-kidneyed alien queen's eyes narrowed dangerously, her golden crown catching the light as she leaned forward on her ornate throne. The court fell silent, all eyes fixed on the human who dared defy their monarch. "You forget your place, human," Queen Nyx hissed, her melodic voice carrying an unmistakable edge. "The Zolarian Empire spans 12 systems. Earth is but a speck in our galaxy, and you would be wise to remember that." Ryan crossed his arms, the plates of his armor shifting with the movement. "Earth may be small, your majesty, but we don't bow to intimidation. I came here to negotiate a trade agreement, not to fetch you exotic pets from the radiation zones." The queen's face contorted with rage, her purple skin darkening as she stood abruptly. The courtiers gasped, collectively backing away from the throne. "Selena," the queen's voice echoed through the chamber. From the shadows stepped a tall, slender figure. Her crimson skin contrasted sharply with her flowing silver hair, and her black and crimson armor hugged her athletic form, her yellow eyes fixed on Ryan with predatory intensity. "Yes, my queen?" Selena asked, her voice surprisingly melodious for someone whose very presence screamed danger. Quinn next pointed a long, elegant finger at Ryan. "This human refuses to show a proper respect. He needs to be taught humility. Challenge him to combat, defeat him, make him beg for mercy before the entire court." Ryan's eyebrows shot up. "Combat is that how you handle diplomatic disagreements?" Selena stepped forward, her movements fluid and graceful. "I accept the challenge, my queen." She turned to Ryan, a smirk playing on her crimson lips. "Unless the human is afraid." Ryan couldn't help but chuckle. 6 years in the galactic Marines before joining the diplomatic corps had prepared him for far worse than an overconfident alien warrior. "I accept. Name your term." "Sword combat," Selena declared, her yellow eyes gleaming with anticipation. "With traditional Zarian blades. Tomorrow at dawn," the queen announced, satisfaction evident in her voice. "In the royal arena, the entire court will witness your humiliation." "Human." As the court dispersed, Ryan caught Selena studying him with curious intensity. He winked at her, earning a scowl in return. "You should prepare yourself for tomorrow," she said coldly. "I am undefeated with the blade in the queen's service. There's a first time for everything," Ryan replied with a confidence that clearly irritated her. "Your arrogance will make your defeat all the sweeter," Selena said, turning on her heel. Ryan watched her leave, admiring her warrior's grace despite himself. "Looking forward to our dance tomorrow," he called after her. She didn't turn back, but he noticed her steps falter momentarily. Back in his guest quarters, Ryan contacted his superior. "On Earth, they want me to fight their champion," he explained to Commander Holt's holographic image. "With swords of all things. Can you win?" Holt asked bluntly. Ryan shrugged. "She's trained with their weapons her whole life, but I did competitive fencing for years before the Marines, and I've had combat sword training." "Don't underestimate her," Holt warned. "These negotiations are critical. The mineral deposits on Ziria Prime could solve Earth's energy crisis." "I know what's at stake," Ryan assured him. "But I couldn't agree to entering radiation zones for the Queen's amusement." "Just don't get yourself killed, Holtide, or start an interplanetary incident." "No promises on the incident part," Ryan grinned before ending the transmission that night. His servant delivered a practice sword to Ryan's quarters. It looked like a traditional Earth-long sword in shape, but instead of metal, the blade was made of a translucent material that glowed with white light. It was perfectly balanced, lighter than it appeared, and hummed faintly when moved through the air. Ryan spent hours practicing with the unusual weapon, adjusting to its weight and feel. It responded differently than any sword he'd used before, almost as if it anticipated his movements. Dawn broke with a strange greenish light over the alien landscape. The royal arena was packed with purple, blue, and red-skinned aliens, all eager to see the human ambassador humiliated. Ryan entered wearing his silver armor minus the helmet. A murmur ran through the crowd as he strode confidently to the center of the arena. Across from him, Selena appeared in her black and crimson battle armor, her silver hair braided tightly against her head. In her hand she carried a glowing sword similar to the one Ryan had been given, though hers pulsed with a slightly redder hue. Queen Nyx observed from her royal box, a smug smile on her face. "Begin," she commanded. Selena moved with incredible speed, her blade a blur of light as she attacked. Ryan parried just in time, the impact sending vibrations up his arm. The Glowing blades clashed with a sound like chiming bells, sparks of light erupting where they met. Ryan retreated, creating space between them. Selena pursued exactly as he'd anticipated. As she lunged forward, he sidestepped and countered, his blade grazing her armor. Selena spun away, her yellow eyes widening slightly. You've trained with a blade, she observed, circling him wearily. I've picked up a few things, Ryan replied, keeping his guard up. The next exchange was intense. Selena's technique was flawless, her blade moving in patterns Ryan had never encountered, but his strength and reach gave him advantages she couldn't match, and his unorthodox earth-fighting style seemed to confuse her. The crowd's mood shifted from anticipation of an easy victory to genuine excitement at the contest. After several minutes of intense combat, both were breathing heavily. Ryan had a shallow cut on his cheek while Selena's armor bore several scorch marks where his blade had connected. You fight well for a human, she admitted, adjusting her grip on her sword. You're not so bad yourself, Ryan grinned through his pain. They clashed again, blades singing through the air. This time Ryan changed tactics, using a feint he'd learned in the Marines. Selena took the bait, committing to a parry that left her momentarily exposed. Ryan's blade flashed, knocking her sword from her hand with a powerful strike. Before she could recover, the tip of his glowing blade was at her throat. Yield, he said quietly. Selena stood frozen, her yellow eyes locked with his. The arena fell silent, waiting. I yield, she finally said, her voice barely audible. Queen Nyx rose from her seat, her face a mask of fury. Ryan lowered his sword and stepped back, offering a respectful nod to his opponent. You fought with honor, Selena said softly, so only he could hear. Before Ryan could respond, Queen Nyx's voice thundered through the arena. Selena, you have failed me. You were supposed to humble this human, and instead you have brought shame upon yourself and your queen. Selena knelt immediately, head bowed. Forgive me, my queen, there is no forgiveness for such failure, the queen declared. As punishment for your disgrace, you are hereby banished from my court, and since you could not humiliate this human, a cruel smile spread across her face. You shall become his wife and leave my palace forever. Gasps echoed throughout the arena. Ryan's jaw dropped in shock. Selena's head snapped up, her yellow eyes wide with disbelief. My queen, please on silence, Queen Nyx commanded. The ceremony will take place immediately. Guards, prepare them both. As guards surrounded them, Ryan caught Selena's gaze. The fury and devastation in her eyes was unmistakable. This isn't what I wanted, he said quietly. Nor I, she replied bitterly, but it seems neither of us has a choice. The Zarian marriage ceremony was mercifully brief. Ryan and Selena stood before a court official in a small chamber adjacent to the arena, still in their combat attire, as ancient words were spoken in a language Ryan's translator struggled to interpret. No vows were exchanged. Their consent was apparently deemed irrelevant when the official pressed their hands together and bound them with a glowing cord that sank into their skin before disappearing. Ryan felt a strange tingling sensation travel up his arm. Selena flinched, her yellow eyes briefly meeting his with a mixture of anger and resignation. It is done, the official declared. By the laws of Zelaria, you are now bound as mates. Queen Nyx watched from the doorway, her satisfaction evident. You have 1 hour to gather your possessions, Selena, then you will depart with your husband. She spat the last word like it was poison. The human ship will be prepared for your departure. As the queen swept away, Ryan turned to his new wife. I need to contact my superior iron, he said quietly. Selena nodded stiffly. I must collect my things. Meet me at the southern landing bay in 1 hour. Before she could leave, Ryan caught her arm. Wait, we need to talk about this. There is nothing to discuss, she replied coldly, pulling away. This is my punishment, not yours. Once we leave Solarian space, we can go our separate ways. It's not that simple, Ryan said. On Earth marriages, we are not on Earth. Selena cut him off. And I care nothing for your human customs. With that, she strode away, her silver hair swinging behind her back. In his quarters, Ryan immediately contacted Commander Hole, who looked as though he'd aged 10 years since their last conversation. You got married? Holt's holographic image sputtered in disbelief. Not by choice, Ryan explained. It was the Queen's punishment for Selena after I defeated her. This complicates things. Hole rubbed his temples. The Zolarians take their marriage bond seriously. Breaking it could be seen as an insult. So what am I supposed to do? Stay married to her? For now. Yes, Holt said. Our legal team is looking into it. In the meantime, bring her back to Earth. We'll figure something out. There's more. Ryan lowered his voice. I think there's something else going on. The Queen seemed almost pleased about sending Selena away. Holt's expression sharpened. What do you mean? I'm not sure yet, but this punishment seems extreme for losing a duel. Be careful, Ryan. If the Queen has ulterior motives, you could be walking into something dangerous after. Ending the transmission, Ryan packed his few belongings and headed to the southern landing bay. His small diplomatic vessel sat ready for departure, its engines already humming. Selena was waiting, a single bag at her feet. She had changed out of her armor into a simple black bodysuit that did little to hide her athletic figure. Her face was a mask of controlled emotion. Let's get this over with, she said as he approached. Once aboard the ship, Ryan set the coordinates for Earth and engaged the autopilot. The small vessel lifted off smoothly, leaving the gleaming spires of the Zilarian palace behind. A broke atmosphere. Selena visibly relaxed, her rigid posture softening slightly. It will take 3 days to reach Earth, Ryan said, swiveling his pilot's chair to face her. We should probably talk about our situation. Selena sighed, looking out at the stars. What is there to say? I failed my queen and lost everything: my position, my home, my honor. You fought well, Ryan offered. There's no dishonor in losing a fair fight. She shot him a sharp look. You know nothing of our ways. A royal guard does not fail ever. That seems like an impossible standard. It is our way, she said simply. They lapsed into silence. Ryan studied her profile as she gazed out at the passing stars. Despite her alien features, the crimson skin, yellow eyes and slightly pointed ears, she was undeniably beautiful. Are you hungry? He asked. Finally, Selena turned to him, surprise flickering across her face at the mundane question. Yes, I suppose I am. Ryan moved to the small galley and prepared 2 meals from the ship's stores. When he returned with the food, he found Selena examining the ship's computer. Curious about Earth, he asked, setting down her plate. I should know something about the planet I'm being exiled to, she replied, accepting the food with a nod of thanks as they ate. Ryan found himself explaining Earth customs, geography and politics. Selena listened attentively, occasionally asking surprisingly insightful questions. Your world sounds chaotic, she observed. So many different governments, cultures, religions. We call it diversity. Ryan smiled. It's one of our strengths on Zyria. Such differences would cause war. We've had our share of those too, Ryan admitted, but we're learning as the meal concluded. An awkward realization dawned on them both. The ship had only one sleeping cabin. I'll take the pilot's chair, Ryan offered immediately. Selena raised an eyebrow. That won't be necessary. The bed is large enough for 2 and we are, she hesitated, married after all. Ryan felt his pulse quicken unexpectedly. Are you sure? It's practical, she said matter-of-factly. And I've seen human physiology before. It's not so different from Zarian. Later, as they lay side by side in the darkness of the cabin, Ryan became acutely aware of her presence, the subtle heat radiating from her crimson skin, the faint scent that reminded him of cinnamon and something alien he couldn't identify. Why did you become a diplomat? Selena asked, suddenly her voice soft in the darkness. Ryan considered the question. I wanted to make a difference after the military. I saw how much damage conflict causes. I thought maybe I could help prevent it. Noble, she murmured. What about you? How did you become the Queen's champion? There was a long pause before she answered. I was chosen as a child for my abilities. I never had a choice. Something in her tone made Ryan turn his head to look at her. In the dim light he could see her profile, proud and somehow vulnerable. Do you regret it? He asked. Regret is pointless, she replied, but her voice held a note of uncertainty. As sleep began to claim him, Ryan became aware that Selena had shifted slightly closer, the back of her hand just barely touching his, whether by accident or design he couldn't tell, but he didn't move away, and in that small point of contact between human and alien skin, something unexpected began to stir. Ryan jolted awake to blaring alarms and flashing red lights beside him. Selena was already on her feet, her warrior instincts evident in her fluid movements. We're under attack, she stated calmly. Pulling on her boots, the ship lurched violently, throwing Ryan against the wall. He steadied himself and rushed to the cockpit. Selena, close behind the view screen, showed a battered vessel twice the size of their diplomatic shuttle. Its hull patched with mismatched metal plates. A tractor beam emanated from the larger ship, slowly pulling them in. Pirates, Ryan muttered, sliding into the pilot's seat and desperately trying to break free from the beam's grip. The Krell Brotherhood, Selena corrected, recognizing the distinctive markings on the ship. Outlaws who prey on vessels in the neutral zones. We're not in a neutral zone, Ryan argued, fingers flying over the controls. Selena's expression darkened. We shouldn't be unless. What unless someone altered our navigation systems? The implications hung between them. Had Queen Nyx arranged this? A gruff voice crackled over the comm system. Attention Earth vessel, prepare to be boarded. Resistance will Result in your immediate destruction. Ryan glanced at Selena. I've got 6 years of Galactic Marines training and a sidearm. What about you? A rare smile touched her lips as she reached into her bag and withdrew a compact device that expanded into a glowing blade is similar to the one she'd wielded in their duel. I never travel unprepared. Good, I'll try to break us free while you. The ship shuddered violently as the pirates fired a disabling shot at their engines. Warning lights flashed across the console. Change of plans. Ryan grimaced. We need to make an emergency landing before they can board us. Selena scanned the navigation system. There's a trading outpost on Vega Minor within range. If we can break free from the tractor beam. Ryan nodded and diverted all remaining power to the engines. The ship groaned in protest but slowly began to pull away from the pirate vessel. They're firing again, Selena warned. Ryan executed a sharp evasive maneuver, barely avoiding the incoming blast. Hold on. With a final surge of power, their ship broke free from the tractor beam and shot toward the nearby planet. The pirate vessel pursued, continuing to fire as they entered the atmosphere. We're losing stabilizers, Ryan reported through gritted teeth, fighting to maintain control as the ship plummeted toward the surface. Selena strapped herself in beside him. Can you land it? Define land, Ryan replied with a strained grin. The ship screamed through the lower atmosphere, heat building around the hull. Ryan managed to level their descent somewhat, aiming for a clearing near the outpost perimeter. Embrace for impact. The diplomatic vessel hit the ground hard, skidding across the terrain before coming to a violent stop against a rock formation. The impact threw them forward against their restraints, then back into their seats. For a moment silence filled the cockpit, broken only by the hiss of damaged systems. You call that a landing? Selena groaned, unbuckling herself. Ryan rubbed his bruised shoulder. We're alive, aren't we? They quickly gathered essential supplies, Ryan's sidearm, Selena's blade, emergency rations and a medkit before evacuating the damaged vessel. In the distance they could see the sprawling trading outpost, a chaotic collection of structures built from various materials, teeming with life forms from across the galaxy. The pirates will be looking for us, Selena said, scanning the sky. We should seek shelter in the outpost. As they approached the settlement, the diversity of the place became apparent. Aliens of all descriptions moved through the crowded streets, some humanoid, others utterly foreign in appearance. Vendors hawked exotic goods from colorful stalls, and the air was filled with a cacophony of languages. Selena stiffened beside him, clearly overwhelmed. Anziria society was strictly segregated by species and rank. Stay close, Ryan murmured, gently taking her arm. This place operates on its own rules. They navigated through the bustling marketplace, drawing curious glances. A human and a Zalarian maiden. Unusual pair, especially one as striking as they were. We need to find communications, Ryan said. Contact Earth for extraction and temporary lodging, Selena added. Night falls quickly on this world and the temperature drops dangerously. They found a small inn run by a 6-armed alien who barely glanced at them before demanding payment. Ryan handed over some universal credits and they were shown to a tiny room with a single sleeping mat on the floor. Cozy, Ryan remarked wryly as the door closed behind them. Selena examined the sparse accommodations with a critical eye. It will suffice, as Ryan set up a portable communication device, attempting to reach Earth. Selena stood by the window watching the activity in the street below. The setting sun cast an amber glow across her crimson skin, highlighting the elegant curve of her neck and the proud set of her shoulders. Ryan found himself momentarily distracted by the sight. Your world has nothing like this, Selena observed, gesturing to the diverse crowd below. So many species coexisting. Earth has its own diversity, Ryan replied, joining her at the window. Different cultures, languages, beliefs. We've learned to live together mostly on Axillaria. Such mixing is forbidden. Each species has its place and you never question that. Selena turned to face him, their proximity suddenly apparent in the small room. Not until now. Something shifted in the air between them. Ryan became acutely aware of her scent, that cinnamon-like fragrance that was uniquely hers. I've been taught that humans are inferior, she continued softly, weak, emotional, undisciplined, yet you defeated me in combat. You pilot with skill, you navigate this chaos with confidence. We're full of surprises, Ryan said, his voice dropping to match hers. Her yellow eyes studied his face with new interest. Yes, you are. The communication device beeped, breaking the moment. Ryan reluctantly turned away to answer it. Called. Well, Commander Holt's voice crackled through the static. What's your situation? Ryan quickly explained their circumstances. The pirate attacked the emergency landing. Their suspicions about Queen Nyx's involvement. Extraction will take at least 3 days. Holt informed them the nearest Earth vessel is the ES Intrepid, but they're currently engaged in a diplomatic mission. Understood, Ryan replied, trying to mask his Disappointment. Stay low, stay safe, hold advised, and Ryan, watch your back. If the Queen did arrange this, there may be more surprises coming. After ending the transmission, Ryan turned to find Selena removing her outer garments, revealing the form-fitting undersuit beneath. What are you doing? He asked, his mouth suddenly dry. Preparing for sleep, she replied matter-of-factly. We should rest. While we can tomorrow, we must find parts to repair your communication device for better range. She settled onto the sleeping mat, then looked up at him expectantly. Will you join me? The nights here are cold. As I mentioned, Ryan hesitated only briefly before removing his jacket and boots as he lay down beside her on the narrow mat, their bodies inevitably pressed together. In Xerian culture, Selena murmured, her breath warm against his neck. A warrior pair often bonds through shared danger. Is that what we are? Ryan asked softly. A warrior pair. Her hand came to rest on his chest directly over his heart. We are something I have no word for. In the growing darkness, Ryan found her lips with his own, and for once the differences between human and Xerian seemed to fade away entirely. Ryan awoke to the unfamiliar sensation of warm crimson skin against his own. Selena was curled against him, her silver hair spilling across his chest, her breathing deep and even. For a moment he simply watched her, marveling at how peaceful she looked in the sleep, so different from the fierce warrior he'd first met. The events of the previous night replayed in his mind. What had begun as a tentative kiss had evolved into something far more profound, a connection that transcended their different species and circumstances. He'd been surprised by how naturally their bodies had fit together, how the alliness of her crimson skin had quickly become familiar, even enticing. Selena stirred, her yellow eyes opening to meet his for a heartbeat. Uncertainty flickered across her features before a small smile curved her lips. You're staring, she murmured. It's hard not to, Ryan replied honestly. She stretched languidly against him, seemingly untroubled by their intimacy. Xelarians don't typically mate with other species. Regrates? He asked, suddenly concerned. No, she said simply, tracing a finger along his jawline. Curiosity. Perhaps humans approach physical bonding differently than we do. How so? You are gentler, more attentive. A faint purple blush colored her cheeks. Xerian warriors view mating as another form of combat, a battle for dominance. Ryan chuckled. That explains a few things about last night. Her blush deepened. Was it acceptable by human standards? A more than acceptable, he assured her, brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. Though I think we might need more practice to perfect our technique. Selena's laugh was a sound he hadn't heard before, light and unguarded, a diplomatic suggestion. The moment was interrupted by the sounds of the trading post coming to life outside their window, vendors calling out their wares, the hum of hovercrafts, the multilingual chatter of diverse species beginning their day. We should find those communications parts, Ryan said reluctantly, sitting up, and maybe some breakfast. They dressed and ventured into the bustling marketplace. Vega Minor was even more chaotic by day, a riot of colors, sounds and smells that seemed to both fascinate and overwhelm Selena. She stayed close to Ryan, her hand occasionally brushing against his as they navigated the crowded streets at a food stall run by a Joe four-armed being. They purchased what the vendor assured them was perfectly compatible with both human and Solarian digestive systems. The spice protein wraps were surprisingly delicious, and they ate while walking toward the technology district. Tell me about Xerian reproduction, Ryan asked as they finished their meal. Just out of curiosity. Selena raised an eyebrow. Planning ahead, human? Just trying to understand your culture better, he replied with a grin. We are not so different from humans in that regard, she explained. Those Xelarian females have a much longer fertility cycle. We can conceive only once every 7 standard years. That's quite a difference, Ryan remarked. It evolved as a survival mechanism during our ancient wars. Our population needed to grow, but warriors couldn't be constantly bearing children. She paused. Interspecies offspring are rare but not impossible. The child typically inherits traits from both parents. Ryan tried to imagine a child with his blonde hair and her crimson skin. The thought was strangely appealing. They reached a cluttered shop filled with spacecraft parts and communication devices. The proprietor, a diminutive being with translucent skin and enormous eyes, greeted them enthusiastically. The crashed Earth vessel news travels fast here, the alien explained, noting their surprised expressions. I am Plex. How may I assist you fine beings today? Ryan explained their needs while Selena examined the shop's inventory with curious eyes. She paused at a display of personal shield generators, testing one against her palm. Your mate has good taste, Plex observed to Ryan. Xerian warrior? Yes. Rare to see one so far from the Empire. especially with a human companion. We're recently married, Ryan said, the words feeling strange on his tongue. A union of different worlds, most progressive. Plex's enormous eyes blinked rapidly. I have just what you need for your communications device and perhaps a small gift for the newlyweds. While Plex assembled their order, Selena continued exploring the shop. Ryan noticed her lingering over display of cultural artifacts, specifically a small sculpture representing a family group of mixed species, different worlds, same hearts. Plex said, following Ryan's gaze, that piece comes from the Andromeda colonies, where interspecies families are common. When they left the shop, Ryan carried not only the communication parts but also the small sculpture, carefully wrapped and tucked into his pocket, a surprise for later. As they walked back toward their lodgings, Selena suddenly stopped, staring at a public view screen displaying news from across the galaxy. On the screen was Queen Nyx making an announcement. EOP, the traitor Selena Vex, who has stolen classified military secrets and fled with a human conspirator. The Empire offers a substantial reward for their capture. Ryan pulled Selena away before she could be recognized. She's framing us to justify hunting us down. She fears what I know, Selena said grimly, about her plans to attack the human colonies in the Riel sector. What there was no indication Zarya had hostile intentions toward Earth. The Queen plays a long game, Selena explained as they hurried through back alleys. She sent me away because I opposed her plans. I was too highly ranked to execute without cause, but too dangerous to keep close. Back in their room, Ryan worked on the communications device while Selena kept watch. The tension of their situation should have overshadowed everything else, yet Ryan found himself continually distracted by her presence, the graceful way she moved, the subtle changes in her expression, the memory of her body against his when she caught him looking. Her lips curved in a knowing smile. Focus on your work, human. We'll have time for other activities later, promise, he asked, only half joking. She approached him, then leaning down to brush her lips against his ear. I am still your wife. After all, Anzirian marriages are traditionally consummated multiple times during the first lunar cycle. Ryan nearly dropped the delicate component he was holding. How many times are we talking about exactly? Selena's laugh was low and promising. Let's just say we have some catching up to do. Hours later, with the enhanced communications device finally assembled, Ryan contacted Commander Holt with their new information about Queen Nyx's plans. This changes everything, Holt said gravely. The Intrepid is being redirected to your location immediately. Extraction in 24 hours. After ending the transmission, Ryan turned to Selena. One more night on Vega Minor. She moved toward him with deliberate steps, her yellow eyes gleaming in the dim light. Then we should make it memorable. Ryan pulled the small wrapped package from his pocket. I got you something. Selena unwrapped the sculpture with careful fingers, her expression softening as she recognized what it depicted, a family of different species standing together, a glimpse of possibility, Ryan said quietly when she looked up at him. The last barriers between them seemed to fall away, no longer enemies or reluctant allies, but something new, something neither of their worlds had prepared them for. Dawn broke over Vega Minor with a peculiar green-gold light that filtered through the window of their small room. Ryan watched as Selena performed a series of fluid movements, a Zarian combat ritual she'd explained to center herself before battle. Extraction in 6 hours, Yugi said, checking the coordinates Commander Holt had sent. The Intrepid will send a shuttle to these coordinates on the outskirts of the trading post. Selena completed her ritual with a graceful bow. Before turning to him, we should leave soon. It would be wise to scout the area first. As she gathered her few possessions, Ryan noticed her pause, pressing a hand to her abdomen with a puzzled expression. Everything okay? He asked. Just strange sensations, probably the local food. She dismissed his